Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Twitter or the X handle, and I'm delighted to be joined today for the first time in a while by Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald on the Twitter and X handle. Aidan, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Tony. How are you?
Good. Long time no speak. Long time no see. Your luck's ran out. Your old dad's can't change this face, but hey, there you go. All good.
Yeah, all good, all good.
Nice one. You'll be buoyed by yesterday's Celtic performance, Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0. We'll talk about that in due course. First things first, we big up our sponsors every day. As you know, Celtic Way briefings have a new sponsor, and the morning briefings and all our pre-match and post-match briefings are brought to you by MPH Group, and they are Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialist covering all of mainland Scotland. And every service you opt for automatically enters you into MPH's incredible holiday giveaway, and you could win a 7-night stay at the luxurious 5-star Moon Palace Resort in Cancun, Mexico. And that's not all. With winter rolling in, if you're thinking of giving your home heating system a boost, MPH has an enticing Navian boiler winter promotion just for you. When you opt for a Navian boiler installation through MPH Boilers, not only are you choosing top tier efficiency, but you're also getting a free Navian internet controller, and that little gadget can crank up your boiler's efficiency to an impressive 98%. And the cherry on top of all of that is that they're covering the first year service with no added costs. And if you're wondering why Navian, well, they're gunning for the product of the year at the H&V News Awards, which is the Oscars of the heating world. And to top it all off, the Navian on-range comes with up to a 12-year parts and labour warranty, and that gives you some serious peace of mind. So a big shout out to MPH because they're also nominated for the Small Company of the Year at the same awards. And MPH even offer flexible finance options. So gear up for a winter chill and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navian, and you will find all the links to MPH social media sites and telephone number in the description of this video. There you go, Aidan. Get it done, and we say thank you to MPH Group for all your plumbing, heating, kitchen, and bathroom needs. Check them out, guys. Aidan, Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0. I can see by the grin on your Chevy Chase that you're actually quite happy about that. The leather belts, the Marjorie Proops, the fuzzy felt set about Aberdeen yesterday, and they were well worthy of that, weren't they? I'll just come to you and ask you, what impressed you, who impressed you, or were you just generally impressed with the whole thing?
Hey, I was, to be fair, Tony, impressed by pretty much all the players. It was a great result, a good performance. Arguably, maybe the best one under Brendan Rodgers since he came back. I think obviously the first half against Atletico Madrid and the fixture at Parkhead, they played really well given the context of the opposition. But in terms of like a performance from start to finish, I thought it was really solid yesterday. Standouts, I know we'll probably come to plenty of individual names, but Rodgers plucking one out early, I think Eloise Palma was exceptional, and clearly that was reciprocated on the broadcast coverage, given that Sky gave him the player of the match. But yeah, a few or several individual moments of brilliance from him, but I thought everybody played pretty well, Tony, and it was important to get kind of back on the saddle after the midweek disappointment.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in about Lewis Palmer as well. I'll read some of them, but yeah, he certainly impressed yesterday. I also was impressed by Yang too. To be fair, the two wingers kind of lit up Celtic Park yesterday, didn't they? But that was they were two, as you say, of many special performances. I agree, their best domestic performance to date, hot and heels of Kilmarnock and Hearts at Tynecastle. But yeah, and obviously their best European performance was certainly the first half against Atletico, and it was good to bounce back from the events of midweek. But we'll not go into that, Aidan. That's been and gone, and we move on. But yeah, we were talking off air, and you said the kind of injury time goals put a more respectable and flattering, possibly, reflection on the scoreline. But I genuinely thought Celtic were well worth it. I thought the first half performance was excellent, and they could have been more than two to the good at half time, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when you come out of a game scoring 6 goals, you don't want to be disappointed there wasn't more in the back of the net, Tony. You don't want to get too greedy, but yeah, I think that Celtic could have easily scored another 3 or 4 goals in that game, and as you say, it probably would have been reflective of the scoreline, but it was great to see sort of goals coming from different areas, and I think O coming off the bench to find the back of the net with his 2 strikes is good for his confidence, because I know we'll probably come on to maybe touch on the Kyogo moment. I know you and Ryan discussed it yesterday, but I'm sure we will kind of go a bit more detail with that. Or maybe didn't come on in the best circumstances given what happened, but I was delighted to kind of see him take his opportunities, both with killer instinct as well.
Yeah, he scored 2 cracking goals. As you say, yeah, he came on with the injury to Kyogo, but we'll touch upon that. But 6 goals, Aidan, yesterday, 5 different scorers, goals from all over the party. Turnbull, made it 3-3 as well. People kind of forgetting his role in it too, but which is why I said yesterday on the briefing, that's why I would offer him a new contract, because nobody's got a shot like Turnbull from 20 yards. He's pretty deadly from that range, isn't he?
Yeah, it seems to be kind of one of his main attributes, and it's maybe a wee bit different from a lot of what Celtic have, because I think I was discussing this with Ryan after the Ross County game, but when I did the match reaction, we were kind of saying that a lot of Celtics play under Ange previously and Rodgers now. It's kind of a build-up or happening inside the box, just the way the tactics are, and it's obviously a very effective strategy given where the majority of the goals come from. So I think Turnbull having that sort of ability to shoot from distance, not that he's plenty of players can shoot from distance, but the fact that's one of his main attributes does give something different when he's starting. In terms of the new contract, Tony, yeah, I'd imagine Celtic probably would be keen to offer him one. Whether or not the player would want to sign it, I don't know, but maybe that's something we'll see a wee bit of movement on either way, kind of coming up towards the January window, because he'd be moving into obviously the last 6 months of his deal. I personally feel like if he isn't going to sign one, I don't know if I would be that bothered with trying to get him moved on in January. I think I'd rather just have him till the end of the season, because he does offer something, and if he leaves, then that's another player you need to get in January, when I think we would all agree there's probably a few areas that need kind of stocked up regardless. So it would be great if he signed a new deal, but I think even if he's not, I would be rather just try to keep him until the end of the season, even though that could mean that he does leave for nothing in the summer.
Yep. Now, we've starred a few comments here, so we'll read a couple of them out. Aidan, Patrick McLaughlin, morning Patrick, how you doing? What a cross-for-us header. A touch of Ruben Marafchik there, the outside of the foot. I think Matt O'Reilly was impressed with that at one point, wasn't he? As well. Patrick come back in. Palma's going up through the gears now. Pablo 67 saying how good was Palma yesterday. Lots of the comments about Palma. Des Harkin, how good was Palma? Star in the making, says Des. And John Boy 1880 mentioned to a couple of guys in the bus yesterday, Palma reminds me of Alan Thompson, not the quickest, but can hit a ball and can see a pass. That's a fair shout, actually. Helen Feeks, morning Helen, how you doing? Morning everyone, great game yesterday, really enjoyed the football the team played and a few standouts. And Hazel Finn saying, are we starting a new trend, Aidan, the men in black? Well, strictly speaking, this is a bottle green shirt, so maybe it's not coming through on the screen, but it's it's bottle green. Pablo 67 saying that's the performance we needed, and Duhallo LP saying Turnbull and Palma best strikers of the ball at the club. I think that was meant to represent with those 2 emojis. How do you feel being part of the Men in Black, Aidan? Is that all right? You happy with that comparison?
I've been called worse things on a Monday morning, Tony. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
I guess I would be Tommy Lee Jones because I'm the old guy. Is that right? And you'd be Will Smith in this.
No comment. No comment, Tony. No comment. I think you'd be compared to worse characters, but yeah, that's an interesting comment about the 2 best strikers. I think it would be up for debate. You would definitely have both those men in the conversation, given the goals they've scored. Not even just yesterday, but particularly up at Ross County and other games in general. Palmer scored a few crackers for Celtic so far, but I think it is an interesting sort of dynamic that you do get with Turnbull playing this sort of shooting from outside the box. It probably doesn't sound like the most exciting thing when you're maybe describing individual attributes, but just because a lot of Celtic's goals across the season will come from sort of quick interchange, crosses into the box or building around it, he does add something a wee bit different. I know I feel maybe we've probably exhausted the sort of, is Turnbull going to be a regular starter thing? I don't think he is going to be, even if he does sign a new deal, Tony, just because we have to imagine that if we're hoping the squad's going to improve again, there'll be more players coming in those positions.
Sure.
Rio Hitati's still got to come back from injury. I appreciate he maybe doesn't always play the exact same role as Turnbull, but it's another option in that midfield that then allows O'Reilly or McGregor to be pushed forward. So that would kind of maybe see him further down the pecking order. I think if he was going to sign a new deal at Celtic and was to stay another couple of years, he would need to accept he's not going to be first choice, and it could be a Giakoumakis situation of he's not really happy with that. The difference also being Celtic did get money for Giakoumakis. He still had plenty of time left on his contract. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it sort of pans out. Given all the other contracts that have been dished out, that's probably highlighted it even more, Tony. See if Hatate and O'Reilly hadn't signed deals, they would probably be the main focus, and you wouldn't even know be thinking about Turnbull. But because in terms of giving out new deals, Celtic have operated really well since Brendan Rodgers came back. This has sort of made the Turnbull thing stick out with a bit of a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ones that I'm sure there'll be discussions of some sort, particularly coming towards January, and hopefully we'll kind of get a clear resolution either way.
Thomas Gallagher saying Turnbull's the best scoring midfielder Celtic have. He's the top scorer alongside Kyogo, league's top scorer alongside Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly on 6, and James Tavernier at Rangers. All 4 of them are on 6 goals. So it's a stellar contribution from a player, as you say, who's not exactly a regular. I just quite like the fact that he's coming on and making an impact and scoring goals, and he has got an awesome dig from 20 yards and above. But yeah, I think most people left the ground yesterday purring about Palma, excited about Yang as well. Good to see him get off the mark. Aidan too, and then also fuming about Kyogo. Don't care what MD says, Aidan. That's the very definition of endangering opponent, because he was out cold before he hit the turf, and Aberdeen player should have been sent off. I've got to be honest, I can't for the life of me understand that decision. It's not even close to a booking. It's a sending off. You've endangered an opponent. You've knocked him out before he's fell like a boxer, taking a real blow to the face, and it looks quite sickening when you see it in both slow-mo and when you saw it in real time. So I'm not an advocate of getting players sent off. I don't particularly like it, but I think in this instance that's a straight red card for me, Aidan. You just, someone needs to explain endangering an opponent rule to me then after that yesterday.
Yeah, I think the speed he went in at as well, Tony, probably didn't help. Obviously a clash of heads is never good, but he absolutely fired in. It wasn't a good challenge at all. That probably falls into the category of it doesn't matter that VAR was there. You shouldn't really need several looks back at that. Obviously VAR was there, and they chose to just show a yellow. But I think that should have been a red card regardless. It was a really heavy challenge from the Aberdeen player. As you say, Kyogo was knocked out, and just lucky that the way when you see he hit his head off the turf, but you're just lucky he didn't fall at a more awkward angle, because he had no control over his body at that stage. That could have been a separate injury in itself, maybe his back or his neck or whatever. Seems to be it was more the actual initial collision that's actual hurting rather than the way he's fallen as well, because there would have been nothing he could really do to break his fall given he was out cold. At least he did walk off, but obviously it is serious given he's pulled out of international duty, as Brendan Rodgers touched on yesterday. Just hope he's going to be okay, Tony.
Sorry.
No,
he's fallen on his face. He's fallen on his face as well. The way a boxer would if he's been.
And the replay was really sickening, and I maybe if we give Sky benefit of the doubt the first time they showed it, they maybe didn't realise exactly the extent of how bad it was because it happened so quickly. But I think we probably could have done without the multiple replays on Sky overnight. I think I was struggling to kind of watch after the first or second one because it was a really, really heavy challenge. And look, he walked off. Hopefully, he is going to be all right. He's now going to have, just under 2 weeks to recover. The thing that baffled me a wee bit, Tony, I don't know if there's been kind of more confirmation of this since. So if there has, then I apologise for not being updated on it. But Sky said that it didn't count as a concussion. Obviously, they were kind of emphasising that to say Celtic they weren't going to get the extra substitution. So I know why they mentioned it, but I'll be very surprised if there's not some sort of concussion he's had coming out of that. Whether that's came from the initial blow or when he's then fallen, it just that seemed a bit bizarre. I don't know if Rodgers maybe touched on that in one of his press conferences, and I didn't see it, but definitely when I was.
I don't think he did.
I couldn't hear anything about it, but
I know Chris Sutton was baffled by it, wasn't he? He was just totally flummoxed by the fact that they said it wasn't a concussion substitute. What else was it? A guy's out cold. I mean, he's out cold before he hits the grass. I just, John Boy 1888, he should have been lifted, Tony, never mind sent off. Yeah, and it's the ref's job to protect players. Disgraceful. I thought it was disgraceful as well. It is the referee's job to protect players in that sense. Pablo 67, Stonewall red card, unbelievable but believable. Yeah, I guess so. But nah, I just and Kaiser coming in and saying if he was unconscious, then he was concussed. He was out cold, wasn't he? Because Matt O'Reilly signalled straight away to get somebody on. And when when your teammates do that, there's something wrong. Wombat saying Kyogo was snoring before he hit the canvas. It reminded me of a boxer hitting the grass, having been dealt a severe blow to the face. And I just, as you say, I think everybody was curious to see what actually happened. But once you did see what actually happened, and then the repetition of showing you, it was quite a sickening. I hesitate to say the word collision because I don't think it was a collision. It was just, I think the Aberdeen player knew exactly what he was doing. So, as I say, it was Rubizic, wasn't it? Slobodan Rubizic. And Derek Smith saying Rubizic, when receiving a yellow smile for he knew he got away with a red card. Disgusting it was, he says. So, yeah, as I say, I'm not an advocate of getting players sent off, but I thought that was a ridiculous challenge yesterday. So we've had us saying it. We both believe it was a red card. He didn't get a red card, so fair enough. Just hope that wish Kyogo all the best and hope he recovers sufficiently. He's got 2 weeks, as you say. So, yep. David McGowan, last word on it. It was literally a dullion. It was a dullion, as they say in Glasgow parlance. Indeed. Now, all sorts of other things, Aidan, to talk about. Found a new penalty taker by the looks of it as well. O's little cameo when he came on for Kyogo took his 2 goals well, but the first one was laid on a plate with a sumptuous cross. But I wasn't a fan of Palma's kind of run up to take the penalty, but he dispatched it, so I'm not going to complain. It was pretty emphatic, the penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty relieved that it scored a penalty, Tony, after recent sort of attempts from the spot. But yeah, it was a great finish and he dispatched it well. I also hope that he is kind of the regular penalty taker now. I appreciate there was sort of previous times, but Turnbull had, for example, taken a couple of penalties and then he wasn't involved in a few games, so they had to put Haggerty in. I think he scored one at Livingston, didn't he? But it just snuck in, and then after that there was he missed one. It was a Hart away at Tynecastle. He missed one as well. Then obviously there's been other players that have missed penalties. So hopefully Palmer's going to go on a bit of a hot streak now. There's not really been a kind of regular scorer of penalties since Juranovic, who even at the end, I think his last penalty he took for Celtic, he missed one away to Real Madrid. But before that, he'd been pretty consistent from the spot, and he had the benefit that he was usually playing most games, given he was like kind of a regular really, unless he was injured. So he was always available. Whereas when it's been somebody like Turnbull who was taking penalties, he was dipping in and out. So Aaron Moy, of course, was also a good value for penalties, to be fair, last season. But then there was times he wasn't involved either. So that then kind of meant you were putting the penalties onto someone else. So yeah, hopefully Palmer's maybe going to be the guy that converts them from the spot, Tony, because it's always a good advantage to have if you get given a penalty and you don't want to be passing up those opportunities.
Yeah, indeed. And I say O came on, scored 2 cracking goals. The second one in particular I thought was excellent because he had all sorts of options to pass it, but that was a confident player, and just his confidence has risen since he got that winner against St Mirren, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, he was kind of unlucky to not get a goal up at Ross County as well. It was chopped off, but
Yes.
he was in the right position and he's had the right idea. So it's good that he's got plenty of confidence. I'm a big fan of. I know he was getting a wee bit of criticism at the start of the season, but he'd played such limited football, and nobody was going to dispute that Kyogo should have been ahead of him because Kyogo's one of the most important players and best players at the club. But it was good to see all sort of being able to kind of make use of his limited time that he's had on the pitch over these sort of first stage of the season, and fingers crossed that hopefully Kyogo was okay, but if he was going to be out for a wee bit longer, I wouldn't really have any issues with at the moment with all coming in and playing a few games after the national break.
I was delighted with Yang as well, Aidan, getting off the mark with his goal, and he was involved in the second goal as well. Beautiful kind of slide rule pass into Matt O'Reilly, and then Kyogo did the trademark run to near post, and Matt delivered it. But yeah, I thought he was excellent till he went off with was it an eye injury, wasn't it? I believe. But Brendan Rodgers said he was fine. But yeah, I thought Yang had an excellent contribution yesterday.
Yeah, Yang was very effective, and he's another one that's looked impressive over the last few games, Tony. He kind of made a sort of decent start to his career at Celtic. Obviously got that assist off the bench up at Pataudry, which was really important in that game because it was tight for one period of time. And then he actually also thought he looked quite impressive when he came on at Ibrox, given the occasion. I know it was also all about Kyogo and his goal that day, but I thought he sort of stood up quite well given the environment he was going into. Then he sort of dipped out a wee bit like a few players, particularly. And then Celtic would be going through a patch where they weren't playing as well. But the last few games, ever since that, probably sort of, was it the second half or the last half hour he came on against St Mirren? Ever since then, he sort of seems to have kicked on, which is really good because, there's the situation now with wingers. Maeda's out, Abada's out. I think we would probably all agree that Forrest isn't really somebody that can contribute regularly, like for 90 minutes at this stage of his career. Tilio, we don't really know what's happening. Rocco Vata, players like that seem to have dropped right out of the frame. So it's good that Yang's came in and put on a positive showing because with Dizan being out, I think there's a high chance that Yang and Palma are going to be playing a decent amount of football between sort of now and the new year.
Yep, lots of comments coming in about Yang, so we'll take them hell and feet saying Yang played really well. He most certainly did. Edward Bayavos said he would like to look at Yang shining after a few days. Yeah, he came off with an eye injury, didn't he? Maestro 95, Yang looks like a player who can go far in that team. And Welsh Paul saying Yang should have started out in Madrid. And Kaiser saying Yang seems to have settled down a bit. He stopped trying too hard and now he's found a bit of flow. And Ian Laurie saying, yeah, Yang's eyes looked awful. So yeah, we're just delighted that he got off the mark as well. That's a wee weight off his shoulders too. And, he'll be delighted at that he's opened his Celtic account. But just that all kind of caveats on a wonderful day for Celtic. Aidan domestically dominant, and just it's going to take a good team to rip that crown or knock Celtic off their lofty perch, isn't it? Because they mean business, certainly domestically.
Yes, it seemed to be finally sort of getting into a stride domestically, with the exception being obviously the defeat Kilmarnock in the League Cup. I know there was a couple of draws, Hibs and St Johnstone, which were disappointing, but I think it being 8 points clear, I appreciate Rangers in a game in hand, but 8 points clear at this stage of the season in the league's pretty good, Tony. I'd imagine most people, club fans, whoever, would have taken that, or even a slightly lesser lead than that come November if it'd been offered at the start of the season. But yeah, things seem to be going quite well, ticking over quite well domestically. The real challenge, I think, will probably be, I know we'll be previewing it plenty of times when it comes round, but it'll be obviously the game against Rangers on the 30th. That'll be the sort of probably real. And I know Celtic have already beaten Rangers, but you also do need to acknowledge it slightly different with a new manager. So it's going to be interesting, I think, that game, Tony. And if you could win that to potentially go 11 or even further clear, because obviously Celtic will be playing the weekend of the League Cup final. I think it's Hearts at home. So to go potentially 11 or even further clear in that one could be massive. So yeah, things are going well domestically at the moment in the league, and long may it continue.
Over 262 people joining us live. Thanks, guys. Try and flick up your comments as much as possible. We appreciate it. And if you like what we do, we always ask you to subscribe to the Celtic Way website every day. It'll cost you £4 for 4 months, which is our offer at the minute, or £18 for a yearly subscription. So why not take out a yearly subscription and help support top quality football journalism, covering the club you love. In the process, you just hit that button, guys, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Aidan, anything else spring to mind yesterday about just a real good day at the office for Celtic, really, wasn't it?
Just to talk a wee bit about, and I know you did touch on it, Tony, when you were going through the goals, but Palmer's assist for O's header, one of the most satisfying goals you've seen. How often do you see a player trying that and maybe just the last defender sort of gets to it because of the way the ball's sort of whipping in, or maybe it gets slightly overhit, so whoever's going to head it just can't get to it. But it was so satisfying. One of those goals you could just watch over and over again. It was brilliant, and that's probably one of the most satisfying goals I've seen Celtic score for a wee while. It was a real bit of quality, and it's great to see Palma picking up 3 assists in that game yesterday. Because it's obviously, I think Palma's equipped himself really well, and there's always going to be obvious comparisons with any winger, with Jota particularly, given that he sort of came in not long after he left, so he was kind of seen as a replacement, rightly or wrongly. So the fact that he's picking up assists, of that calibre, I think he'll do in good stead in terms of his standing with the fans as well as the goals, obviously. And it'd be great if he could be putting up like sort of double digits goals and assists come the end of the season. And look, he's flying for those numbers already. So I think unless he gets injured, it's unlikely he's not going to put that up.
5 assists and 4 goals, I believe, already, Aidan, which is decent return. Yeah, correct. I just wanted to touch on before we go, Brendan Rodgers, I quite like this quote from Brendan Rodgers after the game. He said to the players before the game, throughout your football season and life, you have painful points, but it's how you respond, it's where you are judged. I thought that was quite a neat way of putting it yesterday. The response to Tuesday night was excellent. 2 6-0 wins, 2 contrasting different fortunes in them, but I quite liked it. Brendan Rodgers said that, and I agreed with him wholeheartedly on that. It's how you respond from those setbacks, isn't it?
Indeed, it was really important to bounce back, and the dogs were obviously excited with the result as well, Tony.
Clearly, they're delighted. Yes, the dogs are delighted. Yeah,
as they should be after that excellent performance. No, it was really important to get a result like that, and before the international break. I mean, obviously, the first thing is at this stage of the season, obviously just win. But if it'd been a sort of tight 1-0 or 2-1, just before the international break, you might have still had a wee bit of edge kind of flying about. But I think the fact it was a really good performance has not completely got rid of the Atletico Madrid result, because I think there's still analysis to be done there on what Celtic can do better. Red card notwithstanding, but yeah, it was great to put a performance like that and a scoring like that just before the international break.
Well, I think, Aidan, you've got work to do, haven't you? You're a busy boy, and
don't we all, Tony? Don't we all?
Indeed, yes. So have I. We'll call it a day there. Thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll say hit that subscribe button if you enjoy what we do. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. £4 for 4 months or £18 for the yearly subscription. We say thank you to MPH Group for all your plumbing, heating, kitchen and bathroom needs. Check MPH Group out, our new sponsors of the Celtic Way morning briefing, pre and post match briefings. But thank you, Aidan. We'll be back every day during the week to talk more about Celtic. But yeah, I always say it's result dependent, but it was a good weekend, Aidan, wasn't it? Celtic hitting Aberdeen for 6 of the best, so all good. Thanks, Aidan, for your contribution today. Really enjoyed that. Take care, guys. All the best. We'll see you all tomorrow.